G'day guys, welcome back to Doing Things Poorly. On this episode, we are doing an engine swap. But first, let's get these cleaned up. Okay, well, the mower, well, at least the blue mower is a bit cleaner. The green one not so much. I didn't give it too much of a good bath because I think it's in pretty decent nick. There's not as much oil and stuff sitting on it and leaking and that sort of thing. You're probably wondering why we're doing an engine swap on the lawnmower. Well, I think it should be pretty easy to see why. This is my lawnmower and the intake is busted, the governor is broken and held together by zip ties. It's not had really any maintenance. This one is fairly low hour and it's all together. I've got the governor spring, the throttle cable, everything's put together. You can see I actually have a pull start on this one where I was using a drill on my one. So yeah, the blue one has a much bigger mower deck and a bigger catcher, so I like the blue one size and that sort of thing, but the engine was really dying and I got this mower for 50 bucks, so I think that's a pretty good deal. I don't think there's much to do other than start with draining the oils and start unbolting stuff. It should be fairly straightforward. Alright, so I've got it just up on a block of wood. I'm going to get that blade off so we can get up into that guy. And that's where the oil drain is. So we'll get this nut off, this blade, and then we'll be able to get into it. When I did drain the fuel, it was pretty much a full tank. I just used siphon to get that out. There's still some in it, but better than it was. And we'll get moving. Okay, well, I got the blade off. That took a little impact, but really it took the big brake bar with the pipe on the end, with a block of wood, holding the blade from moving and just cracking it loose. It undoes the normal way. It's not reverse thread or anything like that. I was going to drain the oil, but realized, I mean, it's probably a good thing to do anyway. That hole is not what I thought. Down there, there's nothing in there that I can see at least. But that nut, and that nut is all that's holding the mower onto the deck. So might get that done and then look at draining the oil after that. So let's, I think they look like 12, maybe 10 mil. We'll go from there. I'll probably do a little bit more cleaning up, little wire wheel or a wire brush. I've already scraped off some with a flat little scraper just to get access to those bolts a bit better. 3 bolts, 11 mil, those ones, for me at least. They're undone. Much easier having it on a high table so you can get underneath and not have to hold the thing and twist it over. So you can see it's all, you can't see that one, down in there, and that one there. So that's removed. We should, if I get you set up in a stand, be able to, yeah, lift that straight out. Beautiful. Alright, let's get that out. We'll get this mower deck out of our way, and we'll have a look at this engine. We've tidied up a bit. We've got the engine out, sitting up on the frame there and a block of wood. To drain this oil, apparently you just got to empty it out of the fuel hole. So I've cracked that loose. We're just going to tip it up and drain it into there. Definitely much easier with the engine out of the mower. We haven't even looked at the air filter or spark plug or anything like that yet. We can do that with the engine on the new the blue mower deck. But I know that it's a running engine. I had it running when I picked it up, and it ran beautifully. So apart from replacing the handle, which will be pretty straightforward, we'll get it done. Alrighty, that mower is drained and it's just sitting there, and we are now looking at the blue mower. I've got the blade off, same thing, 14mm. Use a block of wood in there to hold the blade out the way, or steady, and then we can get these 11mm body mounts off. And yeah, pretty quick and easy. Bit of dirt and stuff I'll clean up as well. Pretty easy. Now the difference in these two, interestingly, the base plate on there sits on this ring, and that ring has spaces that go into separate holes. So that spacer sits over that hole. But I think this other mower will go directly through these normal mounts here. But we'll get the motor back up here and set it on and give it a look. That didn't take long at all. That spacer is because on the other body the actual motor sits lower because of this higher section of deck, I guess. So that spacer is just to give it a bit more height so it doesn't interfere, especially here. Yeah, just get the thing started underneath, get underneath the thing and do the things. No, that was super easy. Alright, well, it's on the new body now. That's the quickest engine swap ever. Obviously we need to do a bit of maintenance. We need to change this, the primer bulb thing. The bulb on the old motor is pretty good, so we'll hopefully be able to swap that over without too much difficulty. I'm not sure. We've got to put some more the fuel back in it. Got to check the airbox, put some oil in, give it a bit of tidy up. We might check out that spark plug. Yeah, real simple, real easy. Definitely give it a go, but yeah, we'll keep going with this. We'll start off with this primer bulb. Alright, well, to get to the primer bulb, we've got this airbox in the way, so let's get that out. Oof, look at that. And that is exactly the reason I took it off my old one, is they just get caked in oil and become pretty useless. They're fairly cheap to get, especially non-genuine ones. You can get the filters pretty readily and cheaply off eBay. I don't see, maybe there is a big difference in genuine and aftermarket, but it's a mower, it's 50 bucks. I'm not gonna spend twice the price on a thing if that's the case. If it's close enough, then sure, we'll look at it. Previous owner had a zip tie here to hold the throttle. I'm not sure why. Maybe that's factory. That'd be pretty impressive. But I can't see what to do with this primer bulb. It looks like you've got that white section here. There's one on the back as well. I wonder if we can squeeze that together and pop that out. I'll go grab a couple of things to squish that. We'll give it a try. Alright, a couple of screwdrivers. Don't want to break the thing. Yep, okay, well, too late. We're in it now. Oh, it does seem it's a push action. Is there a rotation mechanism? No, it is just a push. see that. Yep, this broken one. Okay, well that. Yep, I was just not pushing high enough. On this side. Right. Well, that primer bulb sort of comes out by itself anyway. That's unfortunate. Break that plastic. Maybe we can scavenge that off the old motor. Yeah, we should be able to. I think taking out, I mean, we can just take out that primer bulb and then that plastic ring should come out pretty easily. I didn't know we could have just done that. Oh well. Right, let's jump over to the other one and we'll do the same there. Try not to break this one. That'll be annoying. It doesn't help that it's difficult to get to. There we go. Yes. Beautiful. All right. Let's not have that fall over. Brilliant. And there's that. This is a really good condition primer bulb. It's not been left out in the weather, so yeah. Comparison is, oh, you can't see, can you? Focus. There we go. Yeah. Complete difference. Right, do we just jam this back in? Yep. And where's my screwdrivers? all clicked in, apart from the motorbikes. Priming. Excellent. Alright, job done. Get rid of some of this dirt in here. That's not going to help things. A couple of spiders. Despite all efforts, none of Australia's spiders turned anybody into Spider-Man so far. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Alright, that's a bit better. Get rid of those. Yeah, just throw them around, why not? With this airbox, what am I going to do? Another motorbike. Okay, with this, what I might do is douse it in degreaser a bit and then give it a good hose down. Let it completely air out, and then we'll reinstall it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll get another one. In the meantime, we can run it without. I've been running that old motor with just, you know, doing things poorly. Well, it disintegrated pretty well, but it's going to be good enough to use, at least for a little while. We can use it upside down, we can do all sorts of stuff. It's still a fair bit wet, so we're going to throw that out to dry, chuck it on top of the bin lid or something, and we'll throw some oil in this while we wait for this to dry. In the engine, not in this things. Okay, well, for oil, I have this. It was like $5 on clearance, and it's going to be exactly what we need, whether it says it on the bottle or not, because it's oil and it currently has no oil in there. Some oil is better than no oil, regardless of what specifications it calls for. Just throw some oil in. I've never cared in cars, in small motors, anything, as long as it's roughly the right stuff. Throwing diesel oil in your diesel engine, petrol oil in your petrol engine. This one even says it's for petrol and diesel engines, so throw it in both. I don't know, there's science around it. I'm not a science person. I'm not even really a person. Anyway, we'll throw this oil in. I want to have a look at some of these mechanisms. I do have a new spring from when I was fixing up that old engine and failed. So we might be able to swap some of these springs around. Some of it may need a bit of oil just to lubricate some of the moving parts. But throwing this oil in is pretty straightforward. It's opening up that little thing again and throwing in this oil. So right here. That comes off. Now, you notice with this engine, it has this sort of, go away truck, has this sort of style dipstick. My one has, or the old one has quite a tall dipstick. I believe we can interchange them. Do I need to? Don't know. Meh. I'm not all that worried. It's not, obviously not something I check all that often, considering I did it once in the old engine and that lasted more than 10 years, I think. I do have a small funnel. I do, you know what? This might be better. The tip of a funnel, you can't even see. Stand up. There we go. You still can't see. Oh, don't look at my junky garage. How much does it call for? I think it's about half a litre. It's a 1 litre container. It was already half empty, so it should take the full thing, but that's what the dipstick's for. science. Now these, I do know that these dipsticks are designed to be fully in to read, you're not even looking, to read the level properly. And what do we have? Right on the money. I don't know if that's coming up. That is right on the money. So we don't always do things poorly around here. Sometimes we get lucky as well. Alright, that's it. We'll obviously run it for a bit and then check the oil again. What else do we need to do? We need to get that air filter on and check these springs. Let's do that now. Okie dokie. So, 2 springs. There's the small one. We get a pointer. We have a small one back there. Don't know if you can see that. Tiny little one, and then the bigger one. The small one looks in pretty good condition. The big one is fairly stretched out here. It's a bit twisted and looking a bit worse for wear. So, I'm not going to worry about the small one. But the big one, we will try and replace. Now, that wraps around itself. So you got, hey, come back here. Where'd you go? There it is. Okay, so we've got this little hook that's going to go through there, and this one goes around this marker and onto that mechanism there. There's a little loop, and that is that in there. So we'll get probably this end on first. How does that? Okay. This could be a mistake. Sometimes messing around with these is more hassle than it's worth, but we'll do it because we can. I just need to get a little set of pliers. Pliers acquired. You're not going to see because my arm's in the way. Too bad. Alright. Oh, goodness. Right, where's the good spring? Here. Okay, let's go the reverse of that. We will slip this in. Oh, that slips in beautifully. Easy, tiger. And does this one slip in beautifully? Yes. Oh, it's a much looser. Ugh. How does that? That doesn't seem to move the throttle at all. Does it? Because that's not supposed to be on there. That little spring is wrong. So you've got the big spring pulling it that direction towards you. The little spring is supposed to pull this triangular mechanism back that way. And the throttle, this doobie what here, as you move that, it moves that. So the big spring does all the heavy lifting, and that's just the return spring. How is that? Okay, I need to think about this for a bit. Big surprise, I was wrong. Thanks to the Mower Man YouTube channel, I'll link him below. They do both connect onto that. Now, I'm guessing engine vacuum controls throttle, and all you're doing with the that throttle control is limiting how much throttle is allowed, and this smaller one is your idle, so you can bend that tab forward or back, either way, left or right, from your point of view, to control idle, and that big spring is your throttle control. Everything else works off engine vacuum, from my very limited understanding. Alright, well, with that all done, we'll wait for the air filter, but we can throw some of this fuel back in. This fuel cap's a bit worse for wear compared to mine as well, so we'll swap that. Actually, while it's empty, we'll have a look in the fuel tank and make sure it's all good in there. Probably should have done that before, but it's going to be a big job to change, so it's not something I'm going to jump into unless I absolutely need to. But we'll open it up and have a look. Yeah, it's got a bit of rust in that, in the lid, but the actual tank itself looks pretty good. Let's have a look at this one. Oh yeah, they're about the same. I don't know if that's, maybe that's a fibrous thing. It doesn't actually feel rusty. Again, not too bad in there. Maybe some oil remnants or something. Not sure. Regardless, we're going to run with this one. I will have a look at these two fuel lids and throw some fuel in, and we'll be able to turn it over shortly. Okay, fuel's in. Now this handle, pretty rubbish. This cord, pretty rubbish. Just been sitting out in the weather. So this is the one from the other motor. The cord is in much better condition, much less frayed. I don't know if that's coming up on camera. And it pulls through pretty easily. The only difference is I think the mounts are fine, but they're welded, so, or like they're pot riveted. And I drilled out the other one, so do I bother, or it's not an easy thing to pull off just to change the cord, but maybe it's something we'll just keep in mind, and if we need to, we can change it. Changing the handle is probably going to be fairly easy. There's in here there's just a knot of the string, so you can bring that across and take the handle off and swap the handle. So maybe we'll do that. We'll leave the string for now. I do have brand new string as well. Yeah, I decided that's too hard. Getting the knot out of there is pain in the butt. It's not used very often. Well, the pull start's not, you use it once or twice per mowing job, and I don't mow all that often. I'm just going to leave it, change it if and when necessary. So we'll get the air sorted, got to get the handles back on, taking the handles off just to have it comfortably up on here. I'm going to keep that other motor. While it's not fantastic, it can be a donor for parts in the future. Yeah, it's fairly small, but Briggs motors are good quality, good to hold on to, used in all sorts of stuff, and a lot of interchangeable parts, especially given that these are two are identical. If I ever do need parts for this one, I've got one sitting there. If I need parts for something else, I've got that sitting there as well. What I haven't done, and what I said I would do, is the spark plug. So that looks like a factory spark plug. It does look pretty good. And the one on the old motor is an NGK that I did change a while ago. So let's grab a socket and we'll pull both of them off and we'll compare and we'll use the best one. Alright. Alright, what are you doing? Go in. Okay. Ooh. Not liking it straight away, but it's actually not too bad. Oh, you can't see. Okay, so the tip is what you want to look at. You've got the rod that goes up over the top, and then the I can't think of what it's called, that comes up to reach that. I mean, it's not, you know, there's a bit of corrosion on the outside, but it's not terrible. What you do want to look for is how much of a tip comes up there. That's the sign of wear. But in terms of anything else, it looks fine. Let's grab the other one. You can see this has been running poorly for a while, and it may have been the spark plug at fault actually. Now clearly, out of the two, which one are you going to choose? Probably the original. So as you can see, this is from the old motor. That's an NGK BR2-LM, and this one is a Champion RJ19LM. There are these codes do mean something. I don't know what they mean. Actually, that one from the dead motor, that top is coming off as well. It's not sitting particularly nicely, is it? So that motor was in very poor condition. I would like to change this at some point. For now, it's absolutely going to do the job. We'll throw it back in, and we'll also still need to get the actual mower blades back on. It's just sitting here. I am putting this old one back together because you don't want it sitting out, even if I store it somewhere, you don't want it sitting out exposed. So even if it sits in a shed or wherever it sits, you don't want air exposure to the motor, the internals and that sort of thing, because corrosion can happen and will happen. But yeah, now that that's done, we'll connect up that spark plug thing. It's already run, so I know it's gonna work fine. Spiderweb stuff going everywhere. Yeah, and then we'll tip it up and get this blade back on. It's going to be a bit smoky because when I did tip it up originally to get the motor off, some oil did, you know, had it at the wrong angle, and oil was coming out of the exhaust, just the angle I had the motor on. Well, that's okay. It'll smoke for a bit and then we'll clear up. This is the blades from the mower, and you can see here, I don't know if it's coming up on screen, there's a bit of a curve, a used pattern on both of these. I do have a whole new set, so I'll grab them out. I don't know how difficult, it shouldn't be too difficult to change those. The set comes with all your O-rings and stuff, so there's a Allen key there and a socket on the other, or a nut on the other side. Alright, new blades, new thingies, washers, nuts, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, look, that's the cutting edge there. and there's just no edge. So, interesting. Should have a much better running and cutting mower at the end of this. I need some Allen keys and 14mm. Do I need Allen keys? Let's try. We do not. Get out of there. Why do you have to be a pain? Okay, screwdriver does the job. Let's do this one. So the nut's stuck in there. Screwdriver straight through. So then we got the washer. Blade. Okay. So you've got the nut that comes down into the green retainer thing through the holes, and the washer, and then washer. Oh, interesting. There's supposed to be a gap there. It's supposed to sit like that. That's strange. Go on. 14mm. Yep, cool. Same again on the other side. Sits in there. There's a bevel, whatever. Makes it only sit one way. Washer. It's a cupped washer. I put it sort of facing like that, if that makes sense to you. I don't know what it was because they've sort of flattened out on the ding dong. Right, there we go. See, doing things poorly. Can't talk and do things. Secure. Done. New blades. Let's get this set up. Cool. Gonna need to tip the mower over to get to it. I've got this block of wood. Can you see? Yeah, I've got that block of wood there. Just so it's not fully over. Maybe should have done it before I did the oil. Oh well. So then that goes over the drive shaft, and then the nut goes into that. So that sits there. Nut comes up underneath, secures it in place. Okay, I've got it up, obviously, on an angle. Oil is dripping out, that's fine. This drive shaft, or the thing, is still retained from the old mower deck. I need to get that off. I don't have a puller. I don't think I have a puller. So we can heat this up and pull it off if need be. But first I'm just going to try and wiggle it off with some screwdrivers and stuff. See how that goes. Yep. There's a keyway there. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be doing much. The old Tonya Harding. That's always comforting when a screw falls out of nowhere. How do we get that off? Okay, we're set up with a puller. I didn't have one, so I went and got one. So this is the Toledo twin and triple leg set. Now, this set, I think it was about 70 bucks. Obviously has the two leg, or you can take off this middle bracket, take off these two, and connect it onto this one, and then you'll have a three leg. So, seemed like a good option instead of just the two leg. This set was only $10 more than the two leg, and I thought it would be more useful for future projects. So 14 mil. I've got the bolt in so that we're actually pushing on the shaft and pulling the whatever that is off the shaft. So this will drive up into the bolt, that'll push against the shaft, and these will pull that off. If that makes sense. Now, these are fairly hard to get set up properly because you've got to have it right in the middle. It might be best to use a ratchet instead of a driver, impact driver. So I might get a 14 mil ratchet. Okay. And fuel and all sorts of stuff is coming out. That's not ideal. It's going to slip off. Just loosen it up and set it up straight again. First time using one of these, so I don't know what I'm doing, as per usual. Loosen it off again. As soon as I do that, it goes wonky. Why does it go wonky? So just where it's gripping. Is that? Going to wander off. Maybe we swap out to the 3-jaw and get from back there. Or maybe we just need to tighten this up. don't think, no, I think that's... We want to give it some room. Maybe it's this washer in the way. Stop. It's just going on an angle. So yeah, I'm going to swap over to the 3-jaw and see if that helps. Okay, I messed around with that for a bit. Tried the 3-puller, the 2-puller is best. I just didn't have it sitting right, so it's working now. It's pulling out towards this bolt. I'm going to have to back that off as it gets closer, or like as it removes or moves off. You can see there's some movement that's happened there. Cool, we're at the end. Back it off a bit. Yeah, still fairly solidly on there. I'll just go again. Still not coming off easily, that's for sure. Okay, I think we're just going to have to whack it off. Wow. Get it off. Can we go back to the screwdriver method? You're kind of in the way. Just don't have the right wrench. There we go. Right. So they're the two different styles. Both have a keyway in there. So, well, first things first, before we put this one on, we're going to clean that up. I'll just get a wire wheel and throw it in the drill and clean that up. Alright, wire wheel. Boy. Loads better. Feels quite smooth. Now, I don't know that it would be a good idea to put grease on because you don't want it, even though it's keyed, you don't want it spinning. So, we'll just see how it goes. And we can probably tighten it down with this and push it all the way in. Still slides off. I mean, it does sound like it's hitting the end, so I'm not too worried, and obviously the bolt is what's going to be holding it in with the washers and that sort of thing. So maybe we're good. I'll tidy up a bit and we'll look at getting these blades on. Okay, so with the blades, it's got the dimples that'll fit in there. That should line up roughly like that. But I need to get my washer stuff sorted. So I probably want to go that way. Right. Is that right? That doesn't sound right, no. I think. That washer goes on the other side of that. That. Yes, that one makes more sense. Okay. Send it home with a few ugga-duggers and we'll get the breaker bar and that block of wood which is holding the mower up. So maybe we'll do it a different way. We want to go tighten it up. How can we block it off? Do I have something else? Okay, block of wood there, we want to go. Come on. That is tight. Oi. Alright. Okay, now, last thing you want is that to come flying out, but that's done up pretty tight. Let's bring it back down. ready to go. We've got this screw sitting around that we don't know what's it from, what it's from, words. I don't see anything obvious. It did come out of the front somewhere. There's that screw, but I don't see what it might have come out of. So we'll just run with it. Alright, I'll check that, the oil again. So with it being up on its side, it's probably lost a little bit out of the exhaust. And it's hard to tell. Go again. Yeah, it's still, I don't know if you can see that, it's still on the money. Just below that arrow. That may be a better angle. There you go. Beautiful. Okay, so obviously we still need to get these handles on. This throttle has got a bit of a break in it, if it's going to focus for me. It does work, it's just bent. I may still have the one from the old mower, but I'll have to figure that out. And while we're here, we don't fall over. While we're here, the air cleaner, so the air filter. That disintegrated a bit, but still usable. And we'll throw that on. Okay. It's on. Fuel that leaked out. Spilt everywhere. There's still a fair bit in there. The motor seems solidly on. We'll get the handles on and we'll give it a pull. I'll bear you the pain of watching me try and get these handles on. Okay, here we go. That didn't sound healthy, and my zip tie idea didn't hold up. That's better, she's running now. As I said, a bit smoky, but yeah, the cutting blade was just not on right. So a quick tighten up with the impact and she's running beautifully. So I'll let it run for a bit. I'll then check the oil and make sure everything's okay. Can't really mow today, it's just rained, it's going to rain again. But next time I do, I'll throw some video on for you. Thanks very much for watching, catch you on the next one.